Okay, let's say I activated the policy. Now, how do I know if the policy is actually working or not? Are the emails sent or not? How many, if there are any users, accepted the invitation or declined it or ignored it? How many groups are still ownerless after the whatever number of weeks we specified in the policy? Do I have any reporting options on the policy? Unfortunately, no. The policy is kind of silent from you until you look over the shoulder of user. So in this situation, Audit Log is our friend. And the Compliance Center, renamed it to Purview Center recently. And the Audit Log, we can get events that are related to policy and track what's happening with the policy. So here I would specify date when the policy was activated. By the way, event when the policy was activated is not logged to Audit Log. If administrator activated the policy or deactivated, it is not tracked. You cannot get from Audit Log this event. So when you activate the policy, you would write it down, exact policy configuration, and when the policy was activated. Otherwise, you kind of do not have any historical records on this. What we can track with Audit Log is actually three kinds of events. Under activities, I would just type ownerless, and I can see three types of events. Let's go quickly over them. Notified Ownerless Group, it's obviously event that is logged when the policy sends emails to group members. Responded to ownerless groups is event when somebody from members react on email notification. There are two kinds of options: user accept ownership or decline ownership. And the third event, unattended ownerless group, that's interesting. Actually, that's event which is generated after all emails are sent for the group and group is still ownerless. We can dive in each of these events later, but for now, let me select all of them and I would name search ownerless groups and start search. I will not wait until it's done because I've just recently got the same audit log, and let us see what's inside. So here you can see all these three kinds of event. Let's start from notified audit log. So you can see here all the details, date, when it happened, and under extended properties, we can see some interesting stuff, like first notification date. And under members, we can see who was actually notified. Okay, now event responded. We say common data, but under extended properties, we can see different data. Like in this case, user accepted ownership, and we can see who accepted ownership. And the last event, unattended ownerless group. Again, under extended properties, we can see first notification sent, last notification sent, group is still ownerless. Those people are members of this group, but the group is still ownerless and needs attention. Now, we can export this log and open it for further research in PowerShell. Let me do this. So I'm opening audit log that I just exported. 28 events in this audit log, and let me see what's in there. Yeah, so you can see events. But notice that it's kind of a little different, right? 5 properties are common for every event, and details of the event are saved under audit data property. And since every event is different, for example, ownerless group, notification response, and ownerless group notified, it's two different events with two different properties. So this audit data is different for every event. So to get more details from the audit log, what I would do is I would select one kind of event from audit log. So here I'm selecting only notifications, and let me get it as a separate list. Yes, I got 16 notifications. And here I'm selecting only audit data, because actually in this property you can find all this property also. Okay, let me run this loop. Basically in this loop I'm selecting event from a list and selecting only audit data property and converting them from JSON object and forming new list, audit data list. Run it. And you can see that under audit data, I have slightly different object, right? So what was converted from JSON, I can easily pull this data, what I need from here. And what would I need from here? Let's say I need to know who was notified by user or by group. And for this, what I would do is I would define new array, users notified. And for every event in audit data, what I would do is I would go to members property. And for every member, what I would do is I'm using the same object user, and I'm adding to this object two new properties: date and time, user was notified, and group name. So if I run this, all would get 60 records, and you can see all these records with details. But if, for example, I would like to know when Adele was notified and for each group, so I would run this command, and you can see that Adele were notified multiple times, starting 7/10 for 20 days and for these different groups. Or, for example, I would like to know who was notified for this specific group. So I would run this command, and I can see that for this specific group, these people were notified and when. The same logic would be if I want to find out what are the ownerless groups need attention, which are basically groups that are still ownerless after the policy finished. I would select from audit log only events with this expression, and it would be 6 events. The same, I would just convert from JSON audit data for every event. So I'm getting this kind of object. So from this object, what I would do is I would select group name when this group members were notified first time, last time, and group members. And that's what I do here. So I'm creating a new array, and for every event in audit log data, creating a new object on the fly and adding this object to an array. And this object is formatted like this. So I'm getting in first notification, last notification, and I'm pulling members from array, and I'm saving members count. So let me run this script, and if I list all the groups that are still ownerless, so here what I got for every group: group name, notifications, how many members in this group, and members' names. Useful if you need to do something with these groups after policy. What I did in the beginning is I imported log as CSV that I was previously saved from admin GUI. Actually, I can get audit log directly from Microsoft 365 using Exchange PowerShell module. Here I connect it to Exchange, and here I'm selecting third operation on how my group members responding. So let me run this and let us see what's inside this object, inside this array. Yeah, here is what you can see for every array item. So since I need users' reactions, what I would do is I would get group name, username, and user's response. And let me do this with PowerShell. Again, I'm just converting audit data to a separate array. And the same as in previous example, I'm creating on the fly a new array with a new object. Here's what I got from event, just group name, action, user section, and user's email. And let me run this. Events 6, and let me see what's inside. Yeah, user's responses. So we can see that for every group, what was user response. That's it for Audit Log. PowerShell scripts you can find from link in this video description. Thank you. See you next time.